it's Anya here, and I am back with another video for Ophelia Talks Crochet. This tutorial is part of the series for our anniversary blanket. We are making it to celebrate 10 years of stitches. We are looking at all the lovely stitch combinations I have used in various projects during the last decade on the channel, and we are combining them into one blanket. Over the last few weeks we have been making squares. These squares were based on the Anna square. We have called it that because this was one of my grandma's favorite patterns to make. Now we looked at 9 different stitch combinations that I have used over the last 10 years, and we have poured them into the format of the Anna square. We have now made 54 squares, and in the previous video we joined these squares to turn them into our blanket. Now it is time to make the border. So let me show you how we are going to create this border, which will frame the blanket really nicely. Yes, indeed, it is in black, but I just felt this was the best color to bring the whole blanket together. So even though it is in black, it is quite a straightforward border, so I hope you will be able to do it. A couple of tips here: make sure maybe that you have enough lighting, but for me personally I don't mind working in black because I can find my stitches, because I know they are still there, the same as they would be if they were in a different color. So this is how I am treating my black yarn. When I work with black yarn, I just think, well, it's all the same. I make the same kind of muscle movement and it's fine. I have no trouble working with black yarn. So of course for the video I am not going to be using black yarn because I do need to convey to you properly how to do the border. So I am using a sample. So I've got my little Anna square here. This represents the whole of the blanket. Okay, we have sides, we have corners, we have the boxes. Okay, that's the main thing. Here I have teal. So duck egg and teal, that's the colors that I'm going to be using, just so that you can see very clearly what you need to be doing. Now, the main problem we are having with this blanket, in my opinion, is not the black yarn, but it is the waviness of the border. So I've come up with a way of doing the border which made it really nice and flat. So I hope this way will work for you as well. Okay, so I'm going to get started in the middle of the short side. So I've got my slip knot. I still have just my 3.5. I'm not changing hook sizes for the border. And I am going to start with placing single crochets. I start with a standing single crochet, and you place 2 single crochets in each box, just like this. Now make sure, look, I tug it. Make sure you do not do this too loosely, but then on the other hand, don't do it too tightly either. So this is like almost like a foundation row that we are doing. Make sure that everything is going to be lying nice and flat, and you need to do this single crochet row as tightly as you need to make sure that when you put your blanket down, it is all flat, nothing is wavy. Okay, so here I am now at a corner. Here I am going to place 2 single crochets on this side of the corner. Then I do 1 chain, and then on the other side of the corner I place 2 single crochets. Voila, that has now made the corner, has made our turn, and we are going to continue going around our blanket placing 2 single crochets in each box, making sure that you do them nice and tight so that your blanket is going to be looking nice and flat. Now when you get to the end of your square and you have another square joined here, for example this one, okay, you're not going to place a stitch onto the join. You're just going to skip the join and go into the next box and place your 2 single crochets there. You're not going to make extra stitches in your border that you don't need to make, because that's the thing, you don't want to get a wavy border, and placing more stitches will do that. So we're just going to skip over the join and you start using the boxes of the next square straight away, of course. So here I'm just going to continue along my square because of course you know this is going to be the representative of my blanket. So I will see you now when you have gone all the way around your blanket, missing the joins but placing 2 single crochets in each box and 2 single crochets, 1 chain and 2 single crochets in the 4 corner boxes. And make sure you keep on laying your blanket down, making sure that it is still nice and flat and not gone wavy or not gone in either. Okay, so you've got to make sure it's going to be nice and flat. If it does become wavy, try doing your stitches tighter. If it does become scrunched up, try doing your stitches a little bit looser. Avoid adding stitches at all cost. You could, however, just place 1 single crochet in a few boxes, but I would only resort to that solution as a very last resort. I did not have to do that. I did go ahead and just did my 2 single crochets quite tightly in each box, even all along my long side, along my shorter side, it was fine in the end. So hopefully it will work out for you as well. So I have made it all the way around. I am now going to do a slip stitch to close the round, but of course that first one always closes up for me, so I go under the next V there and the slip stitch then creates the top of that very first one. There we go. And now of course we've only made a very narrow edging to our blanket, but we needed to do this just to make sure that we are not going to get a wavy border. Now to create some height we're going to do a chain 1 and a half double crochet in each stitch around. You know I like using half double crochets for the border, so half double crochet is yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the 3 loops on your hook, because once again a half double crochet will make our border less likely to go wavy. So we are just going to place a half double crochet under each V, and this will now give us a nice height, and it actually looks like you've done double crochets, but we have done it in such a way that we can ensure that the border is going to be flat. So here when you get to that corner box, you will make sure that you do 2 half double crochets. Then here you know there's going to be a chain space there, so find it. There we go. Okay, now into there you're going to place 1 half double crochet, 1 chain and 1 half double crochet. And if you want to, you could place a stitch marker there just so it would be easy for you to recognize where the corners are, but of course you can see that they are there and you know what you've done there, so you should be able to find that chain space. Then here we are going to place our 2 half double crochets, because of course that's what we need to do, because we've got 2 single crochets there. And now we continue with placing our half double crochets all along the side, and again make sure you don't do these too loosely do them quite tightly to ensure that you don't get a wavy border, and keep laying your blanket down. Lay it flat on the floor wherever you can to make sure that you can see how your border is doing. Okay, so I will see you when you have gone all the way around your blanket, and I will meet you here. I have now made it all the way around. Here where we started, so we've got that chain coming out of this stitch here. I am going to place a half double crochet, but then when we closed around with our slip stitch, I'm not going to place it in here but in here. So I'm going to skip the first V, go under the next one, and then that way the slip stitch is now going to lie over that V there, and that will make it another top for it. But the main thing is that we have not added a stitch there. Okay, so doing this, the first round of single crochets, then a half double crochet round, for me, even for my blanket here, it really made it a flat, lovely border around my blanket. And I don't know whether it was the combination of these two stitches, but it worked magic. So there we go. Now we are going to get started on a round that has a multiple. Now, of course, I told you to start in the middle of your short side. This is what I did in my big blanket as well, and I did it here as well. I like to live dangerously. If you want to, you can cut off your yarn and start at the corner. So find your corner chain space, but I am going to just continue from here. I'll find my corner chain space. When we get there, I'll make sure my multiple works out, whichever way I have to do, by skipping a stitch or by adding a stitch. So let's get started by doing 3 chains. This chain is going to count as my double crochet. This chain is going to count as my chain for the chain space. I'm going to skip the next stitch, and I'm going to place a double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so this is our first repeat done. So in a way, we are going to start with doing a double crochet in the next stitch, a chain 1 and a skip 1, and a double crochet in the next stitch. And you will recognize these are the boxes that we used in the Venice cardigan and in Miss Potter cardigan. Oh, I just love these boxes. The boxes with the 2 double crochets next to each other. Now, of course, it's going to have to work out, and let's see, a chain 1, skip 1, and then indeed here I can do into the chain space of the corner, I can do my corner, which I am going to do here in this round as 3 double crochets. So there we go. So for me, that's good enough. Okay, if it doesn't work out for you, skip an extra stitch or do an extra stitch or whatever you need to do, but just make it look like this. Okay, so now that we have done this, we're going to chain 1, and then of course into the corner we need to do another cluster of 3 double crochets because we need to make that turn. Voila, so that's our corner. Now the way we finished here is the way we're going to get started on this side as well. So here I did a chain 1, we skipped 1, so we're going to skip this one, and then we start with doing a double crochet, and of course we start the multiple again of doing 1 double crochet, 1 chain, skip 1 and 1 double crochet. Voila, there we go. So you know I don't sort of like counting for things. It's a multiple of 3 in our border. It should work out. Mine worked out except for one side, for one little thing here where I had to put it together a little bit. So I don't think it's worth the time that we're going to have to spend making sure that we have a multiple of 3. It is only a multiple of 3, so it is easily remedied once you get to the corner and it doesn't work out. So let's see if our next corner works out, and I will keep you posted on my progress. Now I do realize we are making double crochets, because otherwise our boxes would not show up, they would not make an impact, they would be too small. So still make sure that you are doing your double crochets, but not too loosely, just do them normally, a little bit tighter maybe, but just make sure that once again you are putting your blanket down, you are smoothing it out, and you are making sure that your border is still looking flat. Okay, so here on this corner it doesn't really work out. Now there are various scenarios that we can do. So if we skip one, we need to place our next double crochet here. So that's the end of our multiple. Then you can just say, right, that's it, I'm just going to do my corner. And that's fine. You just do your 3 double crochets here and you continue on. Right, so you've got 4 double crochets in a row. You'll have a shell on here and then a shell on there. I think that would work. That's a very good solution. What you could also do is unravel a little bit there, then here do a skip 2 and go into there. So that hole will be a little bit bigger, although after a little while you won't even notice that it is bigger. I am then just going to continue with my chain 1, skip 1, and then placing 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets into my corner. When I then start on the other side, I'm going to chain 1, skip 1 and do a double crochet, and then just start doing my repeat. I am not going to do the correction like we did on the other side on this side. I'm just going to continue and see how it works out. Okay, so I have made it all the way around. It's not working out here because I have 3 double crochets next to each other, or I have to make the big hole there. So what I am going to do is I'm going to rip back all the way to the beginning of this row where I'm going to skip an extra stitch. Now I do realize if your row is longer, of course you will have to undo more, but you could possibly get away with doing a larger box somewhere in that row, and just like the other one here that we did, it will disappear into the overall look. So make sure somewhere along the side you skip an extra stitch when you are doing this little repeat. Now don't do it where you started here, because this chain 2 here, which we are using as a double crochet, is thinner, and that will show up more than if you were to do it sort of somewhere along your side where it wouldn't be so conspicuous. So let's see if it works out now. Yes, I am here, look. So that's better. Then we do a slip stitch into the second chain, we bring it together and we do our slip stitch. There we go, voila, see? So that is now done. So for row 4, we're going to do 1 slip stitch into the next box. That will bring us to the correct location there where we have to be to get started. We're going to chain 1 and place a double crochet around that same chain space. Then we skip to the next chain space where we are going to do 5 double crochets. And then here we're going to place our single crochet. Then in the next chain space we're doing 5 double crochets. And once again it has got to work out, but again we can, we can make it work. So here, look, it just works out. I've got my single crochet to place in the next box. Now here we are ready for a corner, and a corner is made up of 7 double crochets. And 7. And this has now brought it around the corner, and we are getting started into that first chain space with a single crochet. There we go. And now into the next chain space for a shell, and this is how you will continue all along your side. When you get to the corner, make sure you place a single crochet in the box before it, then do your 7 double crochets and a single crochet in the box behind it. I am at my next corner, but it doesn't really work out. So here into this chain space, I'm going to have to place 5 double crochets, which I will do. Because if I didn't, the distance would be too far for me to bridge with the corner shell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So what I'm doing then here, this is the chain space for the corner. So now I'm going to go into the second double crochet here, and I'm placing my single crochet there. Okay, so I'm anchoring it just before the corner here. Now I'm going to do my 7 double crochets for the corner. Voila. And then of course I'm going to have to do the same thing here. So I'm going to go into the second double crochet, do my single crochet, and then place my first shell of the side in that first box. Voila. Okay, then I anchor it into the next box, and then of course you're off again doing what we have been doing, using the boxes. But in the meantime, we have sorted out this problem here, and to be honest, I think it looks fine. It looks a little bit different from this side, obviously from this corner, but here you can see the 2 corners right next to each other. On my blanket as well, I had to do this here, maybe somewhere else as well, but in others I didn't. So my corners are different as well, but you can't tell if it is a larger blanket. So as you can see here, I've got the extra one here, and here I don't. So this worked out and this didn't, but I made it work out. So there you go. And did you see that in the lookbook? I don't think so. So we can get away with lots of things in crochet. We can sort out the multiple and make things work out. But the main thing I think is make sure your border is flat. And if it is flat, it will be a lovely border. Even though you might have a shell more or less in the corner, it doesn't really matter, because the main thing that people will see is if it is wavy, and that's not going to look nice. But this, nothing's wrong with that. I've just started my last row, and here indeed it does work out, so I'm hoping it will work out for you as well. If it does not, it will mean that you have to go back to the start and sort of jiggle it around a bit there. But yes, so go into that single crochet there with a slip stitch and close your round. So there we go. So this is the border. This is in fact very similar to the experience I had when I made my black border. It worked out on all the sides apart from one, and I had to do that different little corner here, but other than that it worked out. So I hope you will enjoy making this border. It does involve a little bit of playing about with your stitches here and there, but I think that's the fun of crochet. So of course now you're going to have to cut off your yarn and sew in all the ends. Don't forget to sew in the ends from your joining as well, and yeah, your blanket will be finished. The blanket is 121 centimeters wide and 178 centimeters tall, or 47 inches by 70 inches. We have now come to the end of our crochet along. I hope you have enjoyed making this blanket, and I hope you have joined me in reminiscing on the stitches that we have used over the last 10 years. Remember, all the videos of all the projects are still on the channel. If you fancy repeating these stitches in the original projects, you can go and find them on the channel. Don't forget to share your progress in our Facebook group Ophelia Talks Crochet, because we all want to see what progress you are making. Thank you very much for taking part in this crochet along. Thank you for watching this tutorial, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!